If you're a teacher, then you probably already know the benefits of using YouTube in the classroom. But are you getting the most out of the videos you use? Whether you found great videos or made your own, a few inside tips and tricks can make those videos even more effective for you and your students. Have you ever been in this situation? You're showing your class a video, a well-made, perfect for the lesson, thought-provoking video. As it wraps up, you smile, preparing for what you're sure will be a meaningful discussion whose ripple effect will undoubtedly change lives for the better. And then, this happens. End suggestions. All of a sudden, your students know what videos you've watched, and worse yet, what videos you haven't watched, but they think you have. So how do we prevent this? Well, it depends on how you're showing videos to your class. If you play them directly off YouTube, you just have to pause before the end of the video. But if you're playing them off of a slideshow or learning management system, you have some options. Let's take a look at them. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is what would happen if you showed a video through the learning management system. So if you're showing a video through YouTube like I am now, it doesn't really matter what video for the most part. You're going to finish your video and you get end suggestions. So you get some things that you've watched, some things you haven't watched, some things from the channel, and some things related to the channel. And you really have no control over what these end suggestions are on YouTube. But if you're using something like Canvas as a learning management system, you do. You can show your class through Canvas, and all of a sudden you have a lot more control over the video. So I just have an example page set up in our Canvas here. And if I go to Edit, I can click on the YouTube icon and go to the same video, Oxford, Shelley. I can click Embed, and if I go to show this video, and let's just skip right down to the end again, you'll notice that it just returns to the thumbnail. So you don't have to worry about end suggestions, and of course you can make that full screen and show your class your video that way. You can also get a little bit fancier. So let's cancel this and go back to editing it. Most videos are going to not have any end suggestions on something like Canvas. But what if you're just using a web page, or maybe Google Classroom, or maybe this changes? A lot of these little URL and HTML things change year to year. So if you wanted to go into some more detail as to what you're looking at, you can return to your video. You're going to go to Share, click Embed, and you can copy the entire URL, or the entire HTML, sorry. And you can also choose when to start the video if you so desire. So we're going to copy this. We went to the HTML editor here. Going to drop that in. And what I'm going to do is go to the end of the URL itself. It's in quotation marks, this thing right here. So in front of the quotation marks, I'm going to type in $REL equals 0 and save that. And you'll notice the YouTube video appears again. And again, when you go to the end of it, you shouldn't have any end suggestions. Now, this isn't a great example because on Canvas, it just takes them off automatically, but there's a lot of learning management systems out there, and I can't speak for all of them. And if you're using just a web page, then it's just going to act like normal YouTube. But what will happen when you type in that little code, $REL equals 0, if you type it in the right spot, it used to take suggested videos away. It doesn't do that anymore, but it does limit them to the channel that it's coming from. So that is going to narrow down the suggested videos and take out the seemingly random ones that always seem to have inappropriate or suggestive titles or thumbnails just waiting for your class to laugh at when they appear on the screen and ask, "Oh, what were you watching, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so?" So if your school doesn't have a learning management system, then you're probably showing your videos through a slideshow presenter like PowerPoint or Google Slides. So here I have a slideshow that I show to my junior high students when we're talking about a Pepper's Ghost theatrical technique. I show them this before they build their own. So here's a typical looking slide from it that I've used for a couple of years. It's quite ugly and boring at the same time, which is interesting. So the slide isn't interesting, just that combination is interesting. So as I click on this URL here, it's going to take me to my video. It might show me an ad. Oh, look, it does. Oh, look, it's for alcohol. Lovely. That's great to show to 6th graders. Okay, so I don't like showing these ads all the time. I also don't like that the video is 7 minutes long, and I don't really need all 7 minutes. I kind of want to find like this part where they show them how the Haunted Mansion is actually just a giant Pepper's Ghost roller coaster, but it takes me a while to find that, and I have that ad and all that other sort of stuff. So is there a way to streamline this? I think there is, actually. I know there is. So what you can do, I have a blank slide down here, is instead of just popping that URL in there, you're going to go to Insert, and then you're going to click on Video, and you can go by URL. So we have to copy that first, don't we? It's bare bones instruction here. So we'll go by URL. There we go. Select. All of a sudden I have the video on screen, and if I were to present this and not just have it in the editing mode here, it would look quite nice in the classroom. Make sure you center it. That'll bother the students if you don't. However, I still have some other issues, don't I? I might be met with an ad, I might not, but I still have to find this exact spot. However, if your video is inserted into the slideshow instead of just the URL pasted across the top of it, all you have to do is click on it and then go to Format Options, and all of a sudden, under Video Playback, you can choose when you want to start your video. So let's just say we start at like 50 seconds, and we want to end it at 1:12. I also want it to autoplay, and I don't want to deal with any audio. If I go to present, the slide is automatically going to start playing at 50-ish seconds, whatever I typed in, 50 seconds, I believe. So this is just a great way to streamline what you're doing in the classroom. You don't need to run over to the computer. You can talk over it if you don't want the audio, and you're only showing what you want to show. You only have so much time with your students, so you want to make sure your instruction is being as useful and productive as possible. And this is a great way to skip over ads, remove end suggestions, and make sure that your students are only seeing what you want them to see so that you can get on to more important stuff in the classroom. So what if you're flipping your lesson for that day? Many teachers worry that assigning students to watch a video for homework is a lost cause, since the internet is basically engineering itself into each of your students' personal distraction machines. Thankfully, there's an easy way to better ensure that students watch assigned YouTube videos on their own. So how do we help our students stay focused? Because it doesn't matter how good the video is that you've created or that you've found. If your students don't watch it, it's not actually helping them. So a great tool for this is using a site called EdPuzzle. Now, I'm not an expert on EdPuzzle. I'm actually kind of new to it. So if you want an expert, I would just, look up a YouTube video or something like that. But here's a quick overview on how you could start using it today to better help your students' retention when watching a video. The thing about EdPuzzle is you just search, after you've created an account, you just search up here for the content you're looking for. So maybe you're looking for James Joyce's Araby, and you'll just basically, like if you were to search on YouTube, find some videos about it. Now, it's not just YouTube. You can also have Khan Academy, National Geographic, TED Talks, all sorts of stuff like that. The really cool thing is that you can take these videos and put quizzes over top of them. So let's take a look at this video right here. For example, I don't know, it's got like a nice thumbnail, so maybe we'll use this one. So if I were to play this video for my class or assign them to watch it, they might pay attention to it. Something that could help encourage that attention, though, is going to this edit button here, and I could crop it, make it shorter. But what I love about EdPuzzle is I could embed a quiz into it. So let's just watch the very beginning of this video here. Do your eyes burn with anger and anguish when you have to read James Joyce's Araby? If so, you're in the right place, because today we're going to take a look at some of the major points of the story, and by the end of the video, hopefully make it so you better understand this kind of confusing ending to this story. So let's dive right into it. Not a great voice for YouTube. So if you pause and hit that question there, you can add a question to the video. So you can do question, you can do multiple choice, or sorry, open-ended question, multiple choice, or a comment. So if I want to do open-ended question, let's say I have this one here. What part of the story do readers find the most confusing? I can save that, and it'll keep playing, and then I can click this again to add another question. When all is said and done, if you share this with your students and they watch it through EdPuzzle, they cannot continue with the video until that question is answered. And in fact, the video actually pauses until they answer it. So it's a great way to just kind of help remind them of what to look for and keep them in check. Finally, one of the best ways to use YouTube in the classroom is to help your students shift from consumers to creators. In other words, have your students make videos. Making a video requires research, cooperation, editing, time management, and facing the question, is this actually what I want to make a career out of? So let's look at all the techniques discussed in this video series and turn them into a lesson plan. For this lesson, my objectives are for the students to practice close reading, and I'm going to assess them by how well they use textual support in adapting a work of literature. Let's say my students are reading The Great Gatsby. Well, for this lesson, we're actually going to take a break from our novel to look at Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, a fantastic novel that I didn't have time to teach, but might just inspire some of my students to read on their own after completing this assignment. First up, finding a video. In order to help my students create a Great Gatsby video, I first need to show them an example. Enter the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. The first YouTube series to win an Emmy, the Lizzie Bennet Diaries modernizes the plot of Pride and Prejudice in the form of a vlog. After the students watch and compare the first episode to Pride and Prejudice's opening chapter, I break them into groups and have them create their own vlog based on pre-selected selections of The Great Gatsby. In the end, this activity has students practicing close reading, supporting their writing with textual evidence, and learning how hard it is to be a YouTuber if you don't like reading, writing, or acting. And that's just one example of how finding a good YouTube video, learning to create content, and sharing these skills with your class can create a memorable, engaging, and rigorous lesson. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out some other resources for teachers and students of literature down below, and please consider commenting, subscribing, liking the video. All of that helps. Thanks again for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and have fun reading.